On this episode of Fly Fishing Unfiltered, we cover how to effectively fish egg patterns behind spawning salmon on the Deschutes and other rivers to catch aggressively feeding trout. Hey everyone, David, Northwest Fly Fishing Outfitters, coming to you with another Fly Fishing Unfiltered. Today I'm joined once again by my man,
Spencer Pelham. It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back, man. It's been a busy season. So, Spencer, we've done a lot of videos on sea run cutthroat trout. We've been featuring steelhead on our videos a lot recently. But there's something really special and unique happening on one of my favorite rivers right now, the Deschutes River. It is a world-renowned but not well-known hatch.
Yes, and it's not a dry fly, you guys.
It's not. So, you purists, this video is probably not for you. You might want to burn your computer after watching
Euro
this.
nymphers?
Yeah.
Let's get down and
Let's
dirty.
get dirty. Let's get dirty. So, Spencer, what am I talking about?
Dude, the egg hatch, right?
The egg hatch.
Yeah,
We're getting egg nasty.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Yeah. So, so when we're talking about eggs, are we talking about bird eggs? Are we talking trout eggs, whitefish eggs, or
the trout are so stupid. I think any type of egg, whether it's a bird or a fish's egg or whatever, could probably work.
as long as it's the right color, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's orangish, pinkish,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy how good of fishing it can be out there with an egg pattern right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we're specifically talking, of course, not about egg patterns or bird egg patterns.
Yeah, not bird eggs. We're talking about salmon eggs, steelhead eggs,
Yeah.
and even, maybe even a whitefish or two.
Sure. So, specifically right now, Deschutes, this is one of my favorite times of the year to be on the Deschutes River. Now, would you agree that the Deschutes sometimes, especially for newer fly anglers, can be a pretty daunting place to fish?
Oh, man. I mean, even for us experienced anglers, like, there's still days, this season alone has been kind of a tough one for some of us. So, I mean, it's new or experienced. There's just a time of year where fishing's hard.
Yeah.
It's just a difficult thing sometimes.
The Deschutes River is one of those rivers so massive in comparison to some of our other rivers with harder to define.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, pockets and it's not bouldery the same way like a Clackamas River or some of our other bodies of water are. So the Deschutes can be a really challenging river to fish.
Yeah.
Except one time a year.
Except for this time of year.
And again, today we're talking about the salmon spawning season on the Deschutes River.
Yeah.
So today we want to cover why it's so easy to fish the Deschutes and other rivers, honestly, not just the Deschutes.
Correct.
Other rivers that have spawning salmon in them that also have resident trout in them.
There's quite a few systems locally, actually, believe it or not. We don't talk a lot about it, but there are quite a few systems right now that have a bunch of salmon spawning, whether it's the fall Chinook, the coho salmon, the late summer steelhead. Suckerfish have been known to spawn in fall too.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there's a lot of eggs that are out there that these trout are just gorging on. And if I may say, some of these trout are pretty large.
They are very large. This is a time of year where we can get into some big fish. So we're going to cover some gear because it's a little bit different than certain other times of the year. So first of all, Spencer, let's talk a little bit about spawning salmon.
Sure.
We did talk about whitefish, and we'll cover that in future videos because, yes, whitefish do spawn, but they're more of a sporadic spawn.
Yeah.
Whereas the Chinook, and they spawn in a congregated area.
They lay a red. Yep.
Yeah.
They dig a red.
And so for those that maybe don't know what a spawning red looks like, can you tell us depth of water, type of structure that these salmon are looking for?
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay.
So, I'd say roughly about 3 to 4 foot oval shape is often how you'll see a red if you're on top of the bank looking down into the river. And it's usually a more white kind of patch because it's the gravel that's been underneath all the other stuff with the algae on it and stuff. So you're seeing that fresh gravel.
Right.
Usually like pea stone to, maybe marble size gravel.
Yeah.
Slightly bigger, but not much more than about 2-inch pebbles or so.
For sure.
And, 2 to 4 foot water is typically what you'll find them in.
I agree.
And the salmon like to pair up and they literally dig with their tails. They quite literally push the gravel out of the way and they create a little depression to spawn their eggs into. And so those eggs, like you said, kind of just accumulate in an area of the river. Now, one thing I like to really drive home is you don't want to fish on the spawning
100%
salmon.
agree.
Right?
100% agree.
This is a huge mistake for a lot of anglers. Those eggs will often get washed down or even kicked down by the salmon spawning, and those eggs will drift down, and that is where we'll find our little critters, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. So when I'm looking for this type of water, I'm also going to look for a little depression.
Correct.
So as I'm driving on the road, and the first thing I want to talk about on the Deschutes River and other rivers, take a moment. Don't just go fish water blindlessly.
Use your eyes.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot before you catch any fish. And so, as Spencer said, you should be able to see that discoloration of the rocks having been turned over. Sometimes sand and whatnot is going to be on top of those rocks, and that's going to be our first sign. But also, when these Chinook are spawning in the river, they're pretty hard to miss, right?
I've always told people, whether you're fishing for a salmon or not, if they're around, a salmon is one of the most showy critters I've ever seen. They will make themselves known. They love to jump. They love to roll. They splash the water. They're aggressive. They'll bite each other when they're trying to spawn. Like, it's mayhem. They fight each other. Like, it's insane.
It's rough sex, let's be honest.
You will see them. To your point, you'll either hear them or you'll see them.
It's rough sex.
And another thing is with those reds that they dig, you know, it creates a ripple on top.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So, like, when I come to the river, and it changes, the river changes all our rivers change, and so you have to look for these spots. But you will see a depression where there's a small little riffle. There's one spot on the Deschutes in particular, we call it Nookie Flats, and I'm not going to give it out, but it is like a half-mile long of just ripples that you go and you row over it, and you can see hundreds of spawning salmon.
It's insane. Yeah.
And I do want to talk about, since we're talking about this water, I do want to harp on the fact that these are anadromous fish, and we need to protect them, right?
Yep, absolutely.
We want them returning for decades and centuries, and so don't go walking out on the reds. Yep. You don't need to do that. The reality is the trout in these cases, they're stacked up well behind the spawning salmon. These eggs, as they're doing their thing, these eggs are getting kicked up in the water stream, and those trout are sitting well behind the spawning salmon. It's like a buffet line.
Yeah, and honestly, they can see the eggs plenty good. I mean, you've probably had this experience. I know I have, and I've had brand new anglers have this experience. But you'll catch them on the egg drifting up. You know, it doesn't have to be a natural dead drift. These trout will track down eggs.
Yes.
If it's near them, they'll move to them. So, and we preach this all the time. You don't need to step into the Deschutes to fish the Deschutes. A lot of the time, if you're in the Deschutes, you're probably where the fish are. So just don't even bother really getting in the water right now. Like David said, use your eyes, find those little ripples, look for the fish spawning around you, get below them, throw a little egg pattern out there, and you'll be surprised at how easy this can be.
This is one of those times where you will just get into more fish on the Deschutes and any of these other rivers that have this occurring than you ever thought was possible. And this is why we wanted to release this video right now, because talking to our guides that have been on the Deschutes, it is just starting to get good. The temperatures have finally dropped. The salmon are moving into the rivers. They're finding their reds. They're getting things going. And so now really is the time of year that you want to be on the Deschutes or some of these other rivers. Klickitat's another example on the Washington side, where get out there, find this water, that 2 to 4 foot depth of water, looking for those slight depressions. Use your eyeballs. Put your polarized sunglasses on, look down in the water. You're gonna see the salmon. It's hard to miss them. And then once you find this water, make mental note of it, because it's probably going to be there year after year or in similar spots. And then give them the space, and we're going to fish behind those fish. So here in just a moment, now that we've identified the type of water we're looking for, we're going to cover the next portion of this, which is the tactics that we're going to apply. And then we'll get into the gear that we're using, the flies that we're using, and we'll wrap it all up.
Sweet.
Well, that is exciting to hear. The Deschutes is a little easier, because you're right. It has been a challenging year this year. And some years are just like that on the Deschutes, whether it's weather or the godforsaken wind that we've been experiencing this year.
Fisheries change.
The fisheries change. But it's great to understand the type of water we're looking for. Next thing that I really want to cover now is the tactics that we're using. So again, as we said, this is for you dry fly purists, size 22, blueing olive, 15-minute window. This video is not for you.
Not quite the game.
But there are a few different ways that we can target fish behind spawning salmon.
Absolutely.
And so, Spencer, what is your favorite way to do that?
Well, most people know that I'm a huge tightline nympher. I love the Euro stick. Simply for the fact that I'm doing a lot shorter drifts in these circumstances. I really want a good tight line to the bottom of the river, so I want to feel that I'm in the zone for one, And quite frankly, it's just a really good time to be able to get down in the zone, catch a lot of fish fast, and know that I'm fishing over the trout and I'm not expending my drifts into any other zone I don't want them to go. So I'm a Euro guy for sure.
Okay.
But I'm not against an indicator either.
So you're doing Euro or Czech style nymphing or tight line nymphing.
We'll
however, those of you, we know that there are some people that don't like the whole Euro.
Let's just keep in mind that like tight lining, Euro nymphing was started by the original Fly guys.
100%.
So I mean, as much as you guys hate it, it was a technique that we've used for a long time. We've just refined the gear to make it more effective and better. But
Czech style nymphing, tight line nymphing, all those are just the original words for Euro nymphing. Different lines and everything that we're fishing with that. So you prefer to do a tight line nymphing, whether it's tight line or Euro nymphing. And so typically in that case, are you fishing an upriver presentation and bringing back down, so leaning your flies with your rod tip?
Correct.
Downriver, and then you're leaving some of that downwater portion untouched and maybe moving
I call it a honest 45 to 45.
Sure. Okay.
You know, and I love the Euro style because it's as simple as upriver presentation, like you said. I have no tension under the fly, so I know it's dropping into the zone. By the time it's in front of me, it's in the zone on the bottom doing its thing. I can feel everything, feel the grab, feel the tick, and by the time it's at the end of the drift, it's as simple as just to pick up and plop it right back down.
100%.
It's the most energy effective way to do it, in my opinion.
Especially on the Deschutes, where in the fall you will get that wind picking up, and you get the storms blowing in through the canyon, and trying to lob a dead drift setup can be a little bit challenging. So I'm going to share kind of my experience as well. A couple of presentations. I definitely prefer the upriver presentation. Being newer to Euro nymphing, this is a great way to learn how to Euro nymph effectively because it is. Guys, it is very forgiving. This is a time of year where, again, you're going to catch a lot of fish. If you find the right water, you're going to catch a lot of fish. We said this in our last video. Please, if you're catching a lot of fish, move on. Don't just keep hooking fish over and over and over again in the same body of water. It gets tiresome anyways. So give those fish a rest. Move on to the next section, downriver, upriver, whatever it may be, but give them a rest. I do prefer that upriver presentation, number one, because I get to feel the take. And isn't that what we all that love to swing flies, we love to feel the take. If that's not producing, I definitely will do a dead drift style nymphing through a section. But as Spencer said, and I want to harp on this, we keep the sections very short in this. Typically you find a spawning red, there's going to be several of them stacked up. And the distance between those is not very large. What I really don't want to do is be interfering with the salmon doing what they're there to do either. So we're giving them plenty of space when we're stepping into the river, if we even step into the river. And then we're not running our flies through the section where they're actually spawning. We are well behind and above, and that's where you're going to find the trout. One other way that I love to do it is...
I'm excited.
...is swinging.
Oh, yes, but of course.
So trout spays, I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's a different way to approach this. So if those of you who are a bit more of the purist and you're not wanting to Euro nymph or you're not wanting to do a dead drift nymph, this gives you the opportunity to literally swing through these. Again, keep those swings short so we're not working over spawning salmon, but anything, and we'll cover flies here in a few moments, anything with a bright orange bead on it, egg-sucking leech. We're going to show a couple different options here, but anything with that, you swing through that water, you're going to find some big-ass trout.
Oh, yes.
Especially a bit farther out into the river system where those fish are feeling a little bit more secure. They're not being pushed around by the bigger boys. You're going to find some big-ass trout holding in that water with a swung pattern. So lots of different options in terms of our tactics.
For sure. Yeah. It's a fun time of year just because you don't have the nymph. You can definitely do some other stuff. So.
And if things get crazy and you see a blueing olive hatch, you have your other rod and you can,
I mean, you
switch over to size 20.
You definitely don't go to the Deschutes without a dry fly rod.
No,
I'm not
100%.
saying you don't have an opportunity out there this time of year, but you are most likely going to be catching these fish nymphing an egg pattern of some sort or a stonefly nymph of some sort with it, and that's going to be your top producing pattern. Just like he said, keep your BWOs with you because when those hatches do happen, trout are still trout, and a mayfly is still their favorite thing to eat. And so when that Snickers bar shows up, they're going to tune into that Snickers bar for a little bit. So, and it's a fun way to catch trout in winter on dries.
100%. I love the bluing olive hatch.
Nothing wrong with it.
But it's a narrow window, and
Small.
the rest of the days, this is the time where the fish are getting fat. This is a massive source of protein and on the eggs. This is the time where they know that they're getting really their last big meal before March browns start popping off.
It's like a bear going into hibernation.
Yeah. So this is definitely the time of year to go out there and enjoy some very productive days on the river. And so with that, we've covered the type of water. We have covered the tactics. The next thing we'll get into is our gear.
Yeah, let's talk about gear.
Gear. All right, so now it's time for our favorite time of these episodes, and that's gear.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't love gear? So typically on the Deschutes, I'm a 4-weight, 5-weight kind of guy.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, especially when we're talking these blueing olive hatches, and those can be real delicate presentations, making sure that we're getting the fly in the zone. And this is just simply is not a time of year that I'm going to be messing around with a 4-weight. So I don't know about you, Spencer, but for me on the Deschutes this time of year, especially with our egg hatch, I'm fishing 5-weights and 6-weights. I'm going to let you speak on the Euro here in a moment. But I want to give you kind of my logic behind a 5-weight and a 6-weight.
Yeah, let's hear it.
First of all, I am fishing tungsten beads. I want to be able to get those flies down in a hurry. It's just a lot easier to move those, especially if the wind is picking up on the Deschutes, which will happen in the fall.
Absolutely.
More importantly for me, there are some other fish in the river this time of year.
There are.
They're known as steelhead, and are guys that love to swing for fish and hate to nymph for steelhead. You may not appreciate this, but those steelhead love eggs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's why half of our cones on our flies are a bright orange or bright red. And so I have found many, many, many times when I'm out there fishing for trout, I'm hooking up with a lot of steelhead. Yeah. And again, if I want an opportunity to land that fish, I'm going to be outgunned with a 4-weight. I'm probably going to be outgunned with a 5-weight. So really, a 6-weight is a fantastic rod to be able to land a steelhead effectively, not overplayed. I've seen guys with a 5-weight and they hook a steelhead with a nymphing setup, and they are just, they're babying that thing.
Yeah, I mean, half these dudes are fishing 5X. Half these dudes have never really caught a steelhead, or if they do, it's like 1 in a million, so they don't want to lose it. I get it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Most people play the fish way too long, and it's not good.
Right, and there's this keep it wet mentality that we hear people online, and that's fantastic. We believe in that too. We believe in taking care of those fish, but I see those same people out there overplaying the fish and and fighting it to the point where the thing is half dead before it even makes it to the bank.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I'm definitely on the side of like either keep fish wet or play them so long that they die anyway. Yeah. I mean,
we should have the proper gear, and we should fight them quickly and get them released back out.
Yep. Absolutely.
So for me, a 6-weight is great. And then I talked about this already, but trout spays, this is a fantastic time of year. Throw anything with a bright orange bead on it. You'll hook up with steelhead for sure on that. But I love my trout spay for this time of year as well. So
for sure.
Euro setups.
Yeah, well, I'll touch 2 things real quick on a Euro setup and a trout spay setup. Is they're rated as 3-weights and 4-weights. What people don't really understand is that's actually a very weird kind of, it's its own category really of a rod. And quite frankly, like a 3-weight Euro rod has about a 5-weight backbone. And so it's not truly a 3-weight fly rod.
Right.
So you do have a lot more strength in a Euro rod and a trout spay for a steelhead than you think. But for me, I'm primarily leaning towards my 4-weight Euro rod at this point. Because 1, I am fishing really heavy tungsten flies, and I want to get them down. I have the ability to hook very large trout in fast water. The Deschutes stays pretty fast year round. And I do have the ability to get into a steelhead, and I want to be able to land that steelhead safely and confidently.
Right.
So one thing with both those setups, I mean, any of our setups, quite frankly, I'm also not really going less than 3X.
Yeah. Sure.
I usually fish pretty heavy this time of year.
Especially this time of year. You get some coloration in the river, like we've had our recent rains. The White River is starting to pump some color in. Other rivers are getting color put into them. And let's be honest, especially with these eggs, those fish, they don't care how thick the line is. Do you ever have that game Hungry Hippos?
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like,
totally.
That's pretty much what these trout are doing. 100%. I mean, you'll pick up a trout to get the hook out of its mouth, and they're spewing eggs out.
Yeah, it's like bass and crawdads. They're just spitting out eggs, you know? Like these trout are full.
And so they're not really right now like, oh man, that looks like there's some tippet on that.
Yeah, they're
just,
not inspecting, as we always
Yeah.
say they do. They're not really inspecting. They're just looking for something
Right.
eggy and close by.
So for you, 3X tapered leader.
100%.
And you are doing, again, a 4-weight on your Euro setup.
Trout spay and Euro. I'm usually
Euro.
leaning towards my 4-weights at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the size of the fish,
Yep.
because the ability to catch a steelhead, and because tungsten bees are pretty heavy. So,
They are.
Yeah, I like to lean on that side. You can get away with the 3-weight Euro rods. You can get away with the 3-weight trout spays. But quite frankly, I like having the confidence in, one, fighting bigger fish safely, and two, knowing I can land big fish when I hook
100% agree
Yep.
with that. And again, the one thing that I'm going to go back to on a lot of these rivers, especially this year, which has just been an absolute bitch this year, is
Yeah.
the 4-letter W word has, I want to be able to fight it.
Yep.
I don't want to pack my stuff up and like, oh, the wind's out and I'm just pissed off, and I want to be able to fight it. And sometimes having that extra backbone of a 4-weight on your trout spay and your Euro, and a 6-weight on a standard conventional rod, it, for me, is
100%.
just my go-to, so I can have a really enjoyable day and land those fish quickly.
Absolutely.
Keep them wet, get them in the water, and release them.
Yep.
So, anything else you think on the gear side? Of course, our reels, we're trout fishing here, so for me, the reel is more of a line holder. I'm not too terribly concerned.
No, I still agree with you on that. I don't think the reel's as important. If you're somebody who's newer to fly fishing still and you don't have the confidence in fighting fish yourself, it does help to have a decent drag still. I mean, the Deschutes is one of those rare systems that has a lot of flow, has big fish, and it's got a lot of migratory fish up until December.
Yeah,
and so, it's just to the angler's experience in my regard on that. If you know what you're getting into and you're okay losing them, choose your reel. If you're brand new and you're looking for the fish of your lifetime, this is kind of the season for them. You might want to buy a reel with some drag. It's okay.
I appreciate you saying that, Spencer. I always forget to talk about the drag system on trout.
I'm a drag guy.
Yeah.
I'm a drag guy.
RuPaul over here.
That's it.
It's a super valid point. So, I mean, some of us here love clicking poles. That's not really my game. I've never really... Number one, I don't like letting people know where I'm catching fish.
Let's just start with that. No one's going to find your honey hole.
I'm hiding behind trees, and I don't want people seeing where I'm going. So
dresses in camo.
Yeah. The other, this is a side conversation. The other nice thing about the Deschutes this time of year is you have the place to yourself.
Yes.
And you can truly go and explore. And this is all winter long. From here until really April and May, the river is wide open. It fishes exceptionally well. Spencer and I and Zach one day went and fished the river at 12,000 CFS. Yep. Is that what it was?
Yep.
And guess what? We caught fish.
Yeah.
And guess what? There was no one else out there.
We also saw trout not in the Deschutes, way up in the canyon, which is wild.
Yeah, we'll send a link to that video.
Yeah.
But this is a great time of year to try out all these different tactics. You still have dry fly hatches, but go out there. If you don't have 5-weights and 6-weights, you can do a 4-weight, but you're gonna hook some fish that are just gonna flat out kick your ass.
Yeah, and just get ready for a battle. And more than likely the fish are gonna win this battle this time of year.
Yep.
But you can do it. It's not like you can't. We've done it. You're gonna have a way better experience with a 5-weight at least.
Yeah. So. And then, like you said, a good reel with a good set of drag on it in case you hook that steelhead.
It helps.
Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic. There are some very large trout in there, too. Your 18, 19-inch rainbows.
Plenty of trout that I thought were steelhead until I netted it, for sure.
So having a good drag, especially if you're newer to fly fishing, is definitely something. 3X tippet and tapered leader. And next, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about flies.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
All right. All right, so we've covered the type of water that we're looking for, these opportunities to fish egg patterns. We've talked about our tactics. We've talked about the gear that we want. Next, we're going to get into the super complicated fly pattern selection. And we're joking because, honestly, literally anything with color, pink.
If it's got pink or orange on it, it's probably going to work.
It's not real complicated. But there are some flies that we stock here, some flies that we tie that we have found to be super effective. So
yeah,
Spencer,
there are definitely better flies than just any fly.
Let's go first with our double nymph rig or even a Euro rig. I'm one of those guys, I do like to have a variation between my double nymph setup. So I'm going to tell you my favorite fly for this to get my flies down quickly is this egg sucking stone. So I will have that be my first fly, and then from there I'm going to go with just about anything other than that. But this got a double bead. Sometimes they're tungsten. It depends on how you tie them.
Absolutely.
It's gonna get those flies done real fast. And again, we're fishing 2 to 4 foot of depth, so it's not like we got to go super long ways. But that is probably one of my favorite because number one, the stone flies, salmon flies are in the system 3 to 4 years already anyways. So trout are used to seeing them, and we just give it that little extra color.
Absolutely. Like we just said, anything with orange or a pink hot spot on it is going to do the trick. And to your point, I kind of live by this as well. I usually don't fish the Deschutes without a stonefly nymph if I'm doing a 2-fly rig.
Completely agree.
It's kind of a staple for me out there. So this would be a great one for this time of year, specifically for the 2 tungsten beads for the weight, the hot orange spot as we talked about to look like an egg pattern on there, and it's super buggy, and steelhead and trout eat stoneflies. It's a really good meal for them. So fly number 1, that's a great choice. I'm gonna have to stand behind that as well.
There we go.
If you're not into that for whatever reason, a Pat's rubber legs is also solid, which is a regular tungsten bead. Or if you tie your own, put a hot spot tungsten bead on a Pat's rubber legs.
Completely agree.
With those stoneflies, I like to throw these egg patterns here. So this one is probably my favorite. This is a custom tied pattern by our boy Fish Riz Ethan.
Yes, sir.
So this is tied on a jig hook with a nice tungsten bead on there.
Yeah.
We really like the jig hooks because it orients the point of the hook upward, which reduces the snags. It's super effective whether it's drifted under an indicator or tight lined. So a great pattern overall. What I love about this one too is you can mix up that bead like Ethan does, where you can get a little trigger point on there, that little hot spot.
Great.
So super deadly there.
And most of these also, just one quick thing on some of these beads is they react with sunlight, right? So they're UV. So when that sun, especially if we get a break in the clouds or it's a sunny day, that sunlight hits that bead, that thing pops. I mean, it glows underneath the river, and so it really draws those fish in.
Absolutely. No, it's a super stellar thing that those beads do. And then we got this guy here. This is just what we call like a glow bug. It's unweighted. So sometimes if you're not going to fish a 2-fly rig, but you really want to fish this pattern, which is deadly, a little shot of split shot on top of there will do you guys a really good service to get that fly down.
For sure.
But again, we usually run a 2-fly rig. You don't have to have them very far apart because you're not fishing very deep, which makes the casting pretty simple.
It does make it pretty simple.
Still a big open loop, but it's really easy to fish these, and I stand behind the 2-fly rig as well personally.
Euro, dead drift, it doesn't matter. I'm always a 2-fly guy. On the Deschutes especially, stoneflies. If you're nymphing the Deschutes and you don't have a stonefly on, I think you're absolutely insane. You're not going to catch as many fish.
Pretty crazy. One thing about this guy too is, believe it or not, you can swing this on a trout spay. It's a little heavy in hand, but those trout spays can huck this thing, and you will rail large trout on this fly swung.
We still, so the father of all these articulated flies, Blaine Chocolate, has super creative chocolate factory.
Pretty dang good.
Fly company. And one of the patterns that he has is an articulated stonefly that we're bringing in here. And I think swinging that fly, because if you actually watch a stonefly as it's tumbling, as the nymph is tumbling, it's not just floating down the river like this, right?
Probably the one bug that moves the most.
It like curls up and it's tumbling and it's trying to find its footing again.
Have you seen them? They literally swim.
And they swim.
Yeah,
and so
it's a fascinating
seeing
critter.
how those work in the water, I think that those articulated stonefly, salmon fly patterns.
Stay tuned. I did not know we were looking at getting
those. They're on order. They're going to crush. All right, so our nymphing setup, we don't have any dry flies to cover.
If you're gonna dry fly, bring a BWO.
I'm gonna skate egg. But you probably would work.
Yeah, you could tie it at foam egg pattern and see what happens.
Would work.
They're stupid enough. I'm telling you guys, they'll eat it. They'll eat it.
But we do have a couple of patterns here that we'll talk about for swinging. So I'm gonna give that to you, Spencer. And again, swinging a trout spay is a great opportunity for this hatch. And so what are just a couple of examples we can use there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna live behind like a hot bead head woolly bugger like this guy here. So this one is a black crystal flash woolly bugger with a hot orange tungsten bead. You could do pink bead on there as well. There's really no rhyme or reason why pink or orange is better. Both are great.
Even yellow works.
Honestly, it's like, a dying piece of egg. So any of that stuff does pretty good. Also, one thing I like to do is fish these bigger ones. Like this is just an egg sucking leech that we'd use for winter steelhead.
Sure.
And quite frankly, these bigger ones, it's just a higher profile meal for those larger trout to kind of tune in on. So I might not catch as many small trout, but I'm going to catch a lot of bigger trout. And if you are geared for steelhead,
you're gonna be hooking up steelhead for sure.
This one's definitely more likely to catch you as steelhead. So if you're jonesing for that, that's a great fly for 2 species. But if you are just out there for trout, stick more towards these smaller ones. But anything with a hot bead on there is going to do the trick for sure.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you going through these super complicated flies.
They're very technical.
Yeah,
in fact, tying them's even harder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of tying, so this pattern that Spencer just highlighted, I think we call it the Euro egg or something.
Eethy Egg.
Eethy Egg.
Eethy Egg.
Eethy Egg. That's right.
Eethy Egg.
Eethy Egg.
Yep.
So this pattern, we're going to have at the end of this, we're going to have a section where Ethan is actually going to tie this pattern up and show you guys how to tie it. This is not something that we stock in the shop. Something that is very easy to tie. We have all the materials for you to tie them. This is the kind of thing where you can sit down when your boss isn't looking and tie up about 15 of these real fast and have just an absolutely stellar day on the Deschutes. So with that, I think we've covered pretty much everything for this hatch. The big thing I want to say, the takeaways, again, type of water, 2 to 4 foot in depth. Look for those depressions. It's real easy if you get down at the river level, you'll see a little depression. Then get a little bit of elevation. Use your eyeballs. Look for the spawning salmon. Drop well below them. Give them space to do their thing. Don't be walking out on the reds. These are just some epic days. And the other big takeaway, and I'm going to harp on this all throughout the rest of this season. The Deschutes River specifically, I mean, all of our west side rivers close down. The Deschutes stays open year-round. Mm-hmm. And it is a sanctuary. I mean, it is a place you can go and maybe you'll see one other fly angler unless all of you decide to follow my instructions on this. But this is the time of year where I can go out and it's my playground. I can try new methods. I can look for new water that maybe we'll fish differently in the spring, but I'm scoping out new stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying out swinging different runs, and I'm really exploring this river because there's nobody out there.
You know, one of my favorite things too is I've got more people into their largest trout on the Deschutes this time of year.
I agree.
And there's, like you said, almost nobody out there. But one of my favorite things is once you find fish, you don't really have to leave to go find more.
Yeah,
so it's one of the coolest things with a buddy or by yourself. It's a very easy way to fish. It's a very productive day or a productive time of year for this. You'll have an amazing day on the water. You don't need a lot of patterns. It's quite honestly one of the simplest, most fun things I've ever done. And everyone I've ever taken out there has had a hoot doing it.
Absolutely.
So it's
and
cool.
Treating the environment with respect, making sure we land our fish quickly and staying away from those spawning salmon. It is an absolute blast. This is some of the ways that I get people hooked on fly fishing. Yeah. And then we take them out when it's, the middle of winter and it's just the blueing olives and they're like, I thought fly fishing was easy.
So
I'm like,
everyone's like, let's do salmon fly hatch. I want to catch a big trout. I go, wait till winter. Yeah, that's what I tell them every time. 100%. I'm like, you want to catch one for sure? Like, just wait till winter. I'll take you out in winter. Trust me, we're going to catch a very nice trout.
Completely agree with that. So, Spencer, I love to feature one other component on these videos, and that's to highlight our guides and just make sure that we are out there repping what you got going on. So right now you are doing some coho on the Clackamas, I understand, and maybe been a little challenging at times, but I've seen you getting into fish.
Yeah. Doing it.
So you also, this time of year, you'll do coho. You're doing steelhead. Spencer's got a killer winter steelhead program on the Clackamas River. That you want to talk about a guy who knows the Clackamas. I think you live on the Clackamas.
Basically.
Yeah, basically.
Spend at least 4 days on it, 8 hours a day,
So if you're looking for a guide trip, hit my man Spencer up. We're going to have information on our YouTube video here, links to this so that you guys can get him booked. If you're traveling to the area, you've been watching these videos, and you're like, I've been thinking about doing winter steelhead, let's get you out on the water with Spencer, and he knows that watershed extremely well. Apart from that, we just want to thank you for tuning into these videos. I personally love these videos. I'm learning so much from you all as guides, and I really appreciate you, Spencer.
We love doing them. We like the community. Yeah. We love when you guys come in. You watch a video, it gets you hyped for a new fishery or something that you've never done before. Maybe you hear about a fly you've never heard about. And you guys come in all the time with all this curiosity, and it really keeps us kind of going too, which is really rad. So thank you guys for following along and staying true to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button right there to get all of the content as it hits, not just waiting on the newsletter to give you a little sneak peek of it, but hit that subscribe button. Of course, it's going to notify you when new videos are coming out. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Ethan, also known as the Rizzler.
The Riz.
And he is going to show us how to tie that Euro egg. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you the next time on Fly Fishing Unfiltered.
Today, we're going to be learning how to tie the Eethy Euro egg. I'm going to use a mini jig hook. I use size 12, but you could use size 14 if you wanted to. And then the biggest slotted bead you can get. I'm using a fluorescent green bead right now. You could color match it if you wanted to. Again, kind of personal preference. But we're going to throw the bead onto the hook right there and throw it into our vise. And then with this, you don't really need a very big thread dam because you're going to make that dam with the Eethy Egg material itself. So once we have our thread started, we're going to take some of our Eethy Egg chenille. It should be linked in the description of the video. I strip a little piece off of the end. Just makes it easier to tie it in. And then we're going to tie it in. Don't really need to be too careful about this part. It's just going to get covered by the material. And then we're just going to wrap all the way up to the bead. I do like to palmer it as well, but you don't have to. And then once we get to the bead, we're going to do a couple more wraps just to get that bead secured. Alright, now that we got that done, just tie it off. Cut the excess, and then I always do a few half hitches and then cure it with UV resin, or you could go with Zap-A-Gap if you wanted to. And that is a completed Eethy egg.